Have you ever looked back at someone you trusted and wondered how you missed all the warning signs? Not because they looked dangerous, not because they acted suspicious, but because they looked completely normal. Maybe they smiled at you every day. Maybe they listened to your problems. Maybe they knew your dreams, your fears, and your weaknesses. And maybe that's exactly why they were dangerous. The truth is, the most dangerous people rarely look dangerous. They don't walk around wearing a warning label. They don't announce their intentions. Instead, they blend in. They become coworkers, friends, partners, family members, people you would never suspect. And that's what makes them so difficult to identify. Because by the time you realize who they really are, the damage has already been done. Today we're going to uncover 6 warning signs that reveal when someone may be far more dangerous than they appear. Some of these signs are subtle, some are surprisingly common, and one of them is so easy to miss that many people don't notice it until years later. Stay until the end because the final sign is often the clearest indicator of all. Let's begin. Sign number 1. They learn everything about you very quickly. When you first meet them, they seem incredibly interested in you. They ask questions. They remember details. They pay attention to everything you say. At first, it feels flattering. Most people enjoy feeling understood. Most people enjoy feeling important. And this person seems to understand you better than anyone else. They remember your favorite movie, your childhood story, your biggest insecurities, your goals, your fears, everything. You begin thinking, wow, nobody has ever paid this much attention to me before. But here's the question. Why are they gathering so much information so quickly? Healthy relationships develop gradually. Trust is earned over time. People slowly reveal who they are. But dangerous people often move much faster, because information is power. The more they know about you, the easier it becomes to influence you, to manipulate you, to predict your reactions, to gain your trust. They aren't learning about you because they care. They're learning about you because knowledge gives them leverage. And the scary part? Most victims mistake this intense interest for genuine connection. They think, this person really understands me, when in reality, they're being studied. Watch out for people who become emotionally close too quickly, because sometimes they aren't building a relationship, they're building a profile. Sign number 2. Their kindness always comes with strings attached. Everyone appreciates kindness, a favor, a compliment, a helping hand. These things make relationships stronger. But dangerous people often use kindness differently. Their kindness isn't a gift, it's an investment. Every favor they do creates an invisible debt, at least in their mind. Maybe they help you during a difficult time. Maybe they lend you money. Maybe they support you when nobody else does. And then one day, they ask for something in return, something you don't want to do. When you hesitate, they remind you of everything they've done for you. Suddenly, their generosity becomes a weapon. The kindness wasn't free. It came with conditions. The problem is that most people don't notice this pattern at first, because the favors seem genuine, the support seems real. But over time, every act of kindness becomes a transaction. Every gift comes with expectations. Every favor has a price. True kindness doesn't keep score. Manipulation does. Pay attention to how someone reacts when you say no. That's often when their real intentions become visible, because genuine people respect boundaries. Manipulative people become angry when their investment doesn't pay off. Sign number 3. They mirror everything about you. Have you ever met someone who seemed almost too perfect? They like the same music, the same movies, the same hobbies, the same opinions, the same goals, the same dreams. At first, it feels like an incredible coincidence. You feel understood, connected, validated. You may even believe you found someone remarkably similar to yourself. But sometimes, that's exactly the illusion they're trying to create. Psychologists call this mirroring. It's a technique used to build trust rapidly. People naturally feel comfortable around those who seem similar to them. The more familiar someone feels, the safer they appear. Dangerous people understand this very well, so they become whatever you need them to be. If you love fitness, they love fitness. If you love books, they love books. If you hate someone, suddenly they hate that person too. It feels like chemistry, but often it's strategy, because once trust is established, influence becomes easier. This doesn't mean everyone with similar interests is dangerous. Of course not. But when someone seems almost perfectly designed to match your personality, pay attention. Real people have differences. Real relationships contain disagreements. Nobody is your exact reflection. And when someone appears to be, you should ask yourself why. Sign number 4. They make you question reality. This is one of the most damaging things a person can do. Imagine this. Someone promises you something. Days later you bring it up, and they look at you and say, "I never said that." You're confused. You clearly remember the conversation, but they sound so confident, so certain, so calm. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you're remembering it wrong. At least that's what they want you to believe. This tactic is known as gaslighting, and it can slowly destroy a person's confidence. At first, it's small things, minor details, tiny disagreements, but over time, the pattern grows. You begin doubting your memory, your judgment, your perception. Eventually, you stop trusting yourself, and that's when they gain enormous power over you. Because a person who doesn't trust their own mind becomes dependent on someone else's version of reality. Dangerous people know this. That's why they rarely argue emotionally. They often remain calm, collected, confident. Their certainty makes you question yourself, and every time you question yourself, they gain a little more control. Never ignore a relationship that constantly leaves you feeling confused. Healthy relationships bring clarity. Manipulative relationships create doubt. Sign number 5. They have two completely different personalities. This sign is one of the hardest to recognize because it often happens behind closed doors. In public, they seem wonderful, charming, funny, generous, helpful. Everyone loves them. People constantly praise them. They have a great reputation. And whenever someone criticizes them, nobody believes it because their public image is flawless. But in private, something changes. The warmth disappears. The kindness fades. The mask comes off. They become cold, critical, dismissive, cruel, and the contrast is shocking. The same person who makes everyone laugh in public suddenly becomes someone entirely different when nobody is watching. This creates a terrible form of confusion because you keep remembering the public version. You keep thinking, they can't really be that bad. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's my fault. But it isn't your fault. What you're seeing is the difference between performance and reality. Dangerous people often care deeply about appearances. They need admiration, respect, validation, and public charm helps them get it. But when the audience disappears, so does the performance. Pay attention to how people treat those who have nothing to offer them. Pay attention to how they behave when nobody is watching. That's where character lives. Not in public, not on social media, not in front of a crowd. Character reveals itself in private moments. Sign number 6. Nothing is ever their fault. Every person makes mistakes. Every person fails. Every person hurts someone eventually. The difference is what happens afterward. Healthy people accept responsibility. They learn. They grow. They apologize. Dangerous people do something different. They blame. Everything that goes wrong is always someone else's fault. Their boss is unfair. Their ex was crazy. Their friends betrayed them. Their family misunderstood them. The world is against them. And somehow, despite years of problems, they are never responsible for any of it. Notice how strange that is. Every story has a villain, but somehow they are never the villain. Not once, not ever. They're always the victim, always the misunderstood hero, always the innocent person surrounded by terrible people. Eventually you realize something. The common factor in every story is them, and yet they never acknowledge it. Why? Because taking responsibility requires self-awareness, it requires humility, it requires guilt, and dangerous people often avoid those feelings at all costs. Blame becomes their escape route, their defense mechanism, their shield. If someone has a long history of broken relationships, constant conflicts, and endless drama, but accepts responsibility for none of it, pay close attention, because accountability reveals character, and a complete lack of accountability reveals something else entirely. What should you do if you recognize these signs? First, don't panic. Not everyone who displays one of these behaviors is dangerous. Human beings are complicated. People make mistakes. People have flaws. The goal isn't paranoia. The goal is awareness. Second, trust patterns more than promises. Anyone can say the right words. Anyone can make excuses. Anyone can apologize. Behavior tells the truth. Patterns tell the truth. Watch what people repeatedly do, not what they repeatedly say. Third, protect your personal information. The less ammunition manipulative people have, the less damage they can do. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your life. Trust should be earned, not automatically given. And finally, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong repeatedly, don't ignore it. Your intuition exists for a reason. You may not always understand why something feels off, but your mind often notices warning signs before you consciously recognize them. Listen carefully, because the most dangerous people rarely announce themselves. They don't look like villains. They don't sound like villains. They often look completely normal, completely trustworthy, completely safe. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. If this video made you see someone differently, or helped you understand a situation you've experienced, leave a comment below. Which sign stood out to you the most? And remember, the people who deserve your trust never need to manipulate you to earn it. Stay aware, stay observant, and I'll see you in the next video.